Hidden in plain sight, these three old one-dime coins could be worth a small fortune today. From rare minting errors to decades-old designs, collectors are desperate to find. Each coin tells a story that could make your wallet surprisingly heavier. Don't miss these treasures that even seasoned numismatists are hunting for. Buried in jars, drawers, and forgotten coin collections across the country are three old one-dime coins that could be worth a small fortune. And many collectors don't even know they exist. These aren't just ordinary coins. Each one carries a unique story, from rare minting mistakes that happened over a century ago to designs that were only minted for a few short years. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, discovering these coins could completely change the value of your collection overnight. Stick around as we reveal the top three old one-dime coins that everyone wants to find and learn how to spot them before someone else does. The story of the 1986 Roosevelt dime begins long before the coin itself was minted. And to understand its place in American numismatic history, we must first look back to the origins of the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His leadership during the Great Depression and World War II and his strong support for the March of Dimes initiative made him the natural figure to be honored on the 10-cent piece. When the design was introduced in 1946, it replaced the winged Liberty or Mercury dime, which had been in circulation since 1916. John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint, created the new design, featuring a left-facing portrait of President Roosevelt symbolizing strength, optimism, and progress. The reverse featured a lit torch representing liberty flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. This powerful combination of imagery became one of the most enduring and recognizable coin designs in American history. As decades passed, the Roosevelt dime remained visually consistent, but the materials used to strike it changed significantly, especially during the early 1960s, when the United States faced a nationwide coin shortage caused in part by rising silver prices. Until 1964, dimes were made of 90% silver. But in 1965, Congress authorized a new clad composition consisting of a copper core with outer layers of copper and nickel. This change ensured the continued production of small denomination coins without the economic strain caused by rising precious metal values. By the time the year 1986 arrived, the clad composition had already been used for 21 years, making it the standard for modern circulating dimes. The 1980s were a transformative decade for the United States Mint, marked by modernization expansion and the adoption of improved technology in coin production. The Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints all played key roles during this period, with each facility contributing to the nation's circulating and numismatic coinage. The year 1986 in particular was significant because it fell during a time of consistent high demand for circulating coins driven by population growth and increasing commercial activity. The United States economy was rebounding from earlier recessions, and as commerce expanded, more coins were needed to support everyday transactions. Against this backdrop, the 1986 Roosevelt dime was created not only as a piece of currency, but also as an enduring symbol of the ongoing American story. At the Philadelphia Mint, millions of 1986 dimes were struck without a mint mark, which had been the norm for Philadelphia circulating coinage since the early 19th century. These dimes were produced using high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, each one receiving the detailed portrait of Franklin Roosevelt on the obverse and the iconic torch olive branch and oak branch on the reverse. Philadelphia's presses during this era were increasingly automated, allowing the mint to maintain both productivity and consistency. The coins were struck with sharp rims and a strong reeded edge, which helped prevent clipping and counterfeiting. The uniformity of the 1986 Philadelphia issue reflects the mint's emphasis on precision and reliability during the decade. At the Denver Mint, the 1986 Roosevelt dime bore the D mint mark as a symbol of its origin. Denver was well known for its highly efficient production lines, which consistently delivered some of the most sharply struck and well-defined circulation coins of the period. The 1986 Denver dimes followed this tradition with many exhibiting full design details, sharp lettering, and strong reverse elements. Denver's coins often attract collectors who seek high-grade specimens because the facility's presses were calibrated to maintain slightly higher striking pressure to ensure uniform detail across large production runs. As commerce expanded across the western and central United States, Denver's output played a crucial role in keeping the nation supplied with needed coinage. The San Francisco Mint produced the 1986 proof Roosevelt dime, which holds a unique place in the series. Rather than being intended for circulation, these coins were struck specifically for collectors using polished dies and specially prepared planchets. Each proof dime from 1986 features deeply mirrored fields, contrasting with frosted devices, giving the coin an elegant cameo effect. The San Francisco Mint of the mid-1980s had grown into a major producer of proof coinage using controlled environments, reduced vibration equipment, and precision die preparation. These proof coins were included in annual proof sets that were purchased by collectors and coin enthusiasts across the country. Their beauty, craftsmanship, and clarity help preserve the Roosevelt dime legacy in a way circulating coins simply cannot replicate. The design of the 1986 Roosevelt dime remained unchanged from earlier years, but each coin continues to serve as a reminder of America's respect for Franklin Roosevelt, who guided the nation through remarkable challenges. His portrait on the obverse was chosen not only to honor his presidency, but also to reflect the personal connection he had with the March of Dimes, a campaign that raised funds to fight polio. Roosevelt's battle with polio inspired the movement, and the dime became a nationwide symbol of charitable giving, strength, and hope. The decision to place his image on the 10-cent coin made this connection permanent, and every 1986 dime continues that legacy decades after his passing. In examining the historical significance of the 1986 dime, we should also consider its role in American commerce. Paper money is often preserved or replaced quickly, but coins circulate through countless hands experiencing the day-to-day life of the nation. The 1986 dime carried the weight of countless pocket transactions from grocery stores to phone booths, vending machines, pay meters, and public transportation systems. These coins were part of everyday American life during a decade defined by technological advancements, cultural changes, and economic shifts. While today digital payments dominate the economy, the 1986 dime reminds us of an era when small denomination coins were essential to daily life. As years passed, collectors grew increasingly interested in modern dimes, seeking high-grade examples, variety coins, and proof issues. While the 1986 Roosevelt dime is considered a common date due to its large mintage, its value to collectors comes from condition rarity of high-grade specimens and the quality of proof strikes. Mint state. Examples graded at the highest levels, particularly MS-68 or MS-69, can command premium prices because very few circulation coins survive without wear nicks or contact marks. Proof coins from San Francisco also attract interest, especially those displaying strong cameo contrast free of haze spots or imperfections. These coins represent the pinnacle of modern mint craftsmanship and remain sought after by collectors of the Roosevelt dime series. The story of the 1980 Roosevelt dime begins decades before its actual minting, in a period when the United States was still adjusting to the economic and political changes that shaped the modern coinage system. To understand the 1980 dime, you must go back to the origins of the Roosevelt dime itself, which was first issued in 1946 as a tribute to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt following his death in 1945. Roosevelt had guided the nation through the Great Depression, and World War II and his connection to the March of Dimes campaign made him the natural choice to appear on the 10-cent piece. The design, created by chief engraver John R. Sinek, featured a portrait of Roosevelt on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. This design remained unchanged for decades, including the year 1980, but the context in which the 1980 dime was produced was very different from the post-war years. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, the United States was experiencing economic turbulence. Inflation was high, energy prices were unpredictable, and the nation was transitioning from the economic struggles of the 70s into a new decade filled with technological growth and political change. Coin production in this era reflected these broader national shifts. The Roosevelt dime had already gone through one major transformation in 1965, when rising silver prices led to the removal of silver from circulating dimes, quarters, and half dollars. The composition changed from 90% silver to a clad structure consisting of an inner core of pure copper and outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This clad composition continued in 1980, so every 1980 dime is made of copper-nickel with no precious metal content, but its importance lies in the evolving minting technology and economic environment of the time. The year 1980 saw production at several United States mint facilities, most notably the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The Philadelphia Mint in 1980 produced Roosevelt dimes for circulation, but interestingly, this was one of the last years when Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark. Prior to 1980, many coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint had no identifying letter, and the dime was no exception, so a 1980 dime with no mint mark indicates it was made in Philadelphia. This small detail is significant for collectors because it marks an era when the mint was preparing to adopt the P mint mark more consistently in later years. The Denver Mint produced 1980 dimes with a D mint mark, and these coins entered circulation across the western and central states. Denver had long been known for producing high quantities of coins, with strong strikes making Denver dimes popular among collectors seeking clean, well-defined details. The San Francisco Mint in 1980 produced proof dimes, meant specifically for collectors. These proof coins were struck with polished dies and mirror-like surfaces, and each featured an S mint mark. Proof dimes from 1980 are often found in pristine condition because they were sold directly to collectors as part of annual proof sets. The overall mintage totals for 1980 were very high, reflecting the growing needs of an expanding U.S. economy. The nation's population was increasing, and the use of coins remained strong in everyday commerce long before digital payments became widespread. Billions of dimes were produced that year at the various mints, showing how essential small-denomination coins were for daily transactions. Because of these large mintages, most 1980 dimes are common in circulated grades and hold primarily face value. However, certain factors can make specific examples more valuable. These include high-grade uncirculated coins struck sharply with full torch details on the reverse, as well as proof coins in perfect condition. Error coins from 1980 also attract interest from collectors. These may include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and die breaks. Any dramatic or visually unique minting error from 1980 is often significantly more valuable than a normal coin because error collectors seek pieces that stand out in appearance and rarity. When studying the 1980 Roosevelt dime, it is helpful to understand its placement within the broader timeline of U.S. coinage. The early 1980s were a period of modernization for the mint, with improvements in machinery production methods and quality control. This era saw better consistency in planchet preparation and die maintenance, though errors still occurred as part of mass production. Roosevelt dimes from the early clad era, such as those from the late 1960s and 1970s, sometimes show weaker strikes or planchet defects. By 1980, these issues had become less common, resulting in a uniform and reliable coinage output that signaled the mint's technological improvement. The 1980 dime, therefore, represents a transitional point between the earlier decades of the clad coinage experiment and the more refined production standards of the mid and late 1980s. The design of the 1980 Roosevelt dime remained unchanged from previous decades, but the symbolism behind it continued to hold meaning. The obverse portrait of Franklin Roosevelt serves not just as an honor to a president, but as a reminder of the nation's resilience during its toughest times. The reverse design speaks to American ideals of liberty and strength, and the year 1980 itself represents a moment when the country was standing at the edge of a new technological and cultural era. Movies, music, and fashion of the early 1980s were shifting from the styles of the 70s into something new, and the coins in people's pockets were quietly accompanying them through that transition. Whether sitting in cash registers, vending machines, or savings jars, the 1980 dime was part of the everyday life of millions of Americans. Collectors today often appreciate the 1980 Roosevelt dime not for rarity, but for its historical context. It is a coin that is easy to find yet rich in background, making it ideal for educational projects, beginners' collections, or YouTube presentations focused on numismatic history. A deep dive into the 1980 dime allows room to explore not only the coin itself, but also the mint's evolution, the economic environment of the United States, and the legacy of Roosevelt's portrait on American currency. You can discuss how the clad composition affected both durability and public perception, how mint marks help identify production facilities, and how proof coins showcase the artistic skill of mint engravers. You can highlight the importance of studying large mintage coins as part of understanding the entire structure of the U.S. monetary system, because common coins tell just as much history as rare ones by reflecting everyday use and changes in national priorities. If expanding the content even further, you can include sections about the role of the dime in commerce during 1980, noting how inflation altered the purchasing power of 10 cents compared to earlier decades. You can also examine how coin collecting itself was changing in the 1980s, with growing interest in certified grading services, which began to formalize the process of evaluating coin condition. A 1980 dime graded at the highest levels can still be valuable today because perfect strikes are harder to find in mass-produced circulating coins. This gives collectors a reason to search through rolls from banks or old coin jars, hoping to spot that one outstanding coin that stands above the rest. In conclusion, the 1980 Roosevelt dime is a small but significant piece of American history, representing technological progress, economic transition, and the enduring legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt. Although common in circulation, its story is intertwined with the broader narrative of U.S. coin production and the changing landscape of the early 1980s. When explained in a detailed, continuous narrative, it becomes clear how even the most familiar coin can carry decades of history, culture, and national identity with it. The history of the 1977 Roosevelt dime begins with the broader story of the Roosevelt dime series itself, a coin first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, following his passing the same year. Designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint, the dime was meant to commemorate Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and his founding of the March of Dimes, a national effort to fight polio. The portrait of Roosevelt was placed on the obverse, and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch design, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, was placed on the reverse. Throughout the decades, the Roosevelt dime design remained mostly unchanged, making each year's issue part of a continuous tradition of American coinage history. By the time the 1977 Roosevelt dime was struck, the United States Mint had already adopted a copper-nickel clad composition for all circulating dimes. This change occurred in 1965 after silver was removed from most everyday coinage due to rising silver prices and increased demand for coins in commerce. The clad composition consists of a core of pure copper layered with a mixture of copper and nickel, giving the coin its recognizable silvery appearance. Even though the appearance looks similar to earlier silver dimes, The post-1965 clad dimes, including the 1977 issue, contain no silver and were produced for regular circulation. The switch to clad coinage was widely accepted. By the public and by the 1970s, these coins had already become a normal part of everyday use. The year 1977 itself does not mark any major design change or dramatic shift in production of the Roosevelt dime, but it remains an important year for collectors interested in the subtle history of U.S. mint operations production. During this time took place at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, as was the practice before 1980, while Denver minted coins carry the D-mint mark on the obverse. The San Francisco Mint also produced proof coins for collectors using polished dies and specially prepared planchets, resulting in mirror-like backgrounds and frosted details. Many of the 1977 proof dimes remain in excellent condition today because they were sold directly to collectors who took care to preserve them. During the mid to late 1970s, the United States Mint focused on improving die preparation technology. While this did not change the design of the 1977 dime, it did influence strike quality and consistency. As a result, many 1977 dimes show strong details in Roosevelt's hair and on the torch and branches on the reverse. The overall quality for circulation strikes in 1977 is considered stable, though some coins still show weak strikes due to heavy use of dies or rushed production schedules. A number of minor die varieties also exist for the year, such as small differences in mint mark shape or die polishing marks. These varieties are not extremely rare, but they are appreciated by specialists in the Roosevelt dime series. Collectors value the 1977 Roosevelt dime not for precious metal content, but for its place within the long and continuous history of American clad coinage. As with all clad dimes, the 1977 issue has a relatively low intrinsic value, but its numismatic interest comes from factors such as mint state quality, strike sharpness, proof finish, and occasional minor errors that appear during mass production. Some of the most desirable examples include coins with full torch details on the reverse, a grading attribute referred to as full bands, meaning that the horizontal bands on the torch are completely separated and well struck. This sharp detail reflects exceptional die pressure and clean die surfaces, making full band examples in high grades more sought after. Another aspect of the 1977 Roosevelt dime's history is its role in everyday American economic life. In the 1970s, inflation and changes in consumer habits were shaping the U.S. economy, and small denomination coins remained heavily used for retail transactions, vending machines, parking meters, and public telephones. The 1977 dime circulated widely throughout the decade and beyond, often passing through millions of hands without anyone considering its historical value. Until today, many 1977 dimes still appear in pocket change, which makes them a reminder of how durable and long-lasting coinage can be. The average lifespan of a circulating dime is decades, and the 1977 pieces continue to play a role in daily transactions. For American coinage historians, the 1977 dime provides a snapshot of the era in which it was made. It reflects the post-Silver Age of U.S. coinage, the stability of Sinek's long-lasting design, the government's continued investment in efficient minting technology, and the everyday economic environment of the 1970s. Although the year does not introduce revolutionary changes, each annual issue contributes to the broader timeline of the Roosevelt dime series, and the 1977 issue stands as a representative of a mature and fully established design that has served the United States for generations. The proof versions minted in San Francisco hold a special place in the story of the 1977 dime, as they showcase the mint's commitment to numismatic craftsmanship. Proof coins from the 1970s feature deep mirrored fields and frosted portrait details, a contrast known as cameo effect, which is highly admired. Some 1977 proof dimes show ultra-cameo contrast, meaning the frosted areas are extremely bold against the dark reflective background. These proof coins were produced in relatively limited numbers compared to circulation strikes, making them valuable to collectors who appreciate high-quality examples of the classic Roosevelt design. The 1977 Roosevelt dime also reminds collectors of the gradual evolution of mint mark policies. Before 1980, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on circulating coinage, so the absence of a mint mark identifies Philadelphia struck 1977, Dimes Denver, however, continued to use the D-mint mark, and these coins often show differences in strike quality or minor positioning variations in the mint mark, which specialists sometimes study as minor varieties. Although these details may seem small, they contribute to the larger study of modern U.S. minting history. In the full story of the 1977 Roosevelt dime, one can explore the legacy of Roosevelt himself, the origins of the March of Dimes, the development of American-clad coinage, and the progression of minting technology from the mid-20th century to the present. The dime serves as a miniature piece of American history, reflecting national values through its symbolism of liberty, peace, and strength, and through its consistent presence in commerce, its durability as a design and its continued production over decades show the mint's confidence in Sinek's original work and the nation's recognition of Roosevelt's lasting impact. Though simple in appearance, the 1977 Roosevelt dime represents the continuity of American coinage tradition, the stability of the mint's production systems, and the daily economic reality of the American public in the 1970s. Every coin from that year holds a small part of that story, making it more than just a piece of metal, but a quiet witness to American history that can still be found in circulation today.